What is the professional way of saying no to a request in English? I'll give you 3 一言ママ phrases you can start using today. Hi, I'm Keiko from English-Empowered. I help Japanese researchers and business professionals improve their English communication skills for work. The mama phrases I show you in the 一言ママ phrase lessons are all natural and appropriate for professional settings. But my goal is also to promote respectful communication that helps you build good relationships and trust with your colleagues. Practice using mama phrases with me, and you will become a fluent speaker and a valued member of your workplace. Before we start, a few reminders. 1. Have a pen and a sticky note ready. And participate actively by repeating after me and practicing saying the mama phrases in the output training. Are you ready? Let's get started. This week's target expression is, I was wondering if you could. Now take out a sticky note and write this down at the top. In the last lesson, we looked at some of the expressions people use to ask your favor, to make a request. They were in the question form, like, could you blah blah? Do you think you could blah blah? But sometimes people make a request in the statement form. They end with a period, not a question mark. That's what we're going to look at today. And I was wondering if you could is a very common statement to make a request. This is a very polite way to ask a favor. Even more polite than could you? The reason for this is because when you start with, I was wondering, you're not jumping into the question. I was wondering makes the request indirect. In addition, notice I was wondering uses the past tense. You don't really say I'm wondering to make a request. I was wondering is how you say it. By using the past tense, you can create a sense of distance. And this distance makes the request sound softer and more polite. Now, after I was wondering if you could, you will hear the content of the task they need your help with. For example, book something, which means to reserve something. Reach out to someone, meaning to communicate with someone. Put in an order for something, to place an order for something more. So the entire request might sound like, I was wondering if you could reach out to Tanaka-san. Or, I was wondering if you could book accommodation for the guests. Now, there are other statements people use to make requests. If you could blah blah, that would be great. This is also an indirect way of making a request. I need you to. Now, this one is very direct. You would hear it coming from a boss to a subordinate. I need blah blah. This one is also a direct request. But instead of a verb, they put a noun like, I need a report, or a forecast, or the survey results. As for I need you to, or I need, it would be better if you don't use them because they're very direct and they can sound rude. But I decided to include them in this lesson because they're still common expressions and I want you to recognize them as requests when you hear them. Now, someone at work asked you to do something. What should you say if you need to decline, if you can't do it? A Japanese brain response people tend to give without using the English brain is no. No is not a professional way to decline a request. It's too direct and kind of rude. And your colleague will wonder why you can't help them. So what should you say? How do native speakers of English say no to a request without actually saying no? If you need to say no to a request, there are two things you should do. First, show them that you're sorry that you can't help. And second, explain why you can't help them. This explanation helps the other person understand that you can't help because you have this other thing, not because you don't want to help them. Now let's take a look at this week's 3 hitogoto mama phrases. Someone asks you a favor by saying, I was wondering if you could. To decline the request, these are the 3 hitogoto mama phrases often used by native speakers of English. Hitogoto mama phrase number 1. I'm sorry, but. Write this down on your sticky note. Now repeat after me. I'm sorry, but. I'm sorry, but. So this mama phrase covers the 2 things we've talked about, saying sorry and explaining why you can't help. I will give you some example reasons later. Hitogoto mama phrase number 2. I'd love to help, but. Write it down on your sticky note. Now repeat. I'd love to help, but. I'd love to help, but. I'd love to help shows your willingness to help. And as I've mentioned before, that's very important in professional settings. And in this case, it's a way of telling them it's not that you don't want to help them. You do, but there is a reason why you can't. Now, hitogoto mama phrase number 3. I wish I could, but. Write it down on a sticky note. Now repeat. I wish I could, but. I wish I could, but. I wish I could means that you wish you could accept their request and help them. But unfortunately, that's not the case. It can also convey how sorry you are. So the mama phrases I've shown you today are anaume mama phrases, meaning you have to fill in the blank with your own situation to complete the sentences. So after but, add the reason why you can't help them. They might be, I'm running late for a meeting. I've got a presentation to prepare for. Or if you're busy in general, you can say, I'm pretty slammed right now. Remember this expression from lesson 1? Slammed means very busy. Now let's practice saying this week's 3 hitogoto mama phrases with these example reasons. Repeat. I'm sorry, but I'm running late for a meeting. I'd love to help, but I've got a presentation to prepare for. I wish I could, but I'm pretty slammed right now. Excellent! Here is an o make mama phrase that might also come in handy. I should have time when. So I said you should do these two things to be polite when you decline a request. Tell them you're sorry and explain why you can't agree to the request. There's actually one more thing that makes you sound even more polite and professional, and that is offer an alternative. When you say no to a request, your colleague is just left there and they haven't gotten the help they needed. That's too bad. So if you can help them at a different time in the future, tell them. Repeat after me. I should have time. I should have time. After I should have time, say when you might have time. Like after the meeting. After 4. This Friday. Now let's combine the 3 hitogoto mama phrases with the omake mama phrase. I'm sorry, but I'm running late for a meeting. I should have time after the meeting. I'd love to help, but I've got a presentation to prepare for. I should have time after 4. I wish I could, but I'm pretty slammed right now. I should have time this Friday. So again, this week's 3 hitogoto mama phrases are, I'm sorry, but, I'd love to help, but, I wish I could, but. Keep the sticky note with you. Now it's time for the output training. You're going to hear this week's target expression or similar expressions that serve the same function. Then you're going to use one of the hitogoto mama phrases you've learned today to respond. Try adding your original reasons that are likely to come up. You have 5 seconds after each expression. Ready? Let's start. I was wondering if you could do a follow-up meeting with the sales team. If you could reach out to the organizer, that would be great. I need the deck by the end of the day. I need you to book us plane tickets to go to the annual conference. I need the names of all guests. For the last 3, try without looking at the sticky note. Ready? I was wondering if you could translate this document. I need you to post the intern job online. If you could talk to everyone in the lab, see which equipment we're running low on, and place an order for those, that'll be great. How did it go? Keep practicing, and these phrases will be yours. In this lesson, you learned how to say no to a request respectfully and professionally in English. Let's review the 3 hitogoto mama phrases we went over today. I'm sorry, but I'd love to, but I wish I could, but you did a great job today. Now put the sticky note with these mama phrases somewhere you see often. On your laptop, your cell phone, on your office desk, and use them throughout the week. The key is to use them. Let me know in the comment section how you use this week's mama phrases. I would also like to know what you said as a reason for declining the requests. If you go to English-Empowered blog, you will find extra mama phrases there. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for joining me. See you in the next lesson.